I see you, scum. I'll take your skull in another gutter. I see you, scum. I'll cave your skull in.
you, scum. I see you, scum. Another gutter rat. Ah!
You were with the Imperials at the outpost, right? Killed all those damn orcs off? I hope you made them suffer. Carry the Griffin, Knight of Evermore.
You'll catch your death of cold wearing that. Навстречу.
You know me? Got something I need? Then why are we talking? Guards aren't around and I'm on edge. Don't want anything happening now, do we? Another gutter rat.
Go on, burn your Solid.
Another gutter rat.
Person.
I see you, scum.
Speak up. Necessity wills either destruction or bondage for them, to the betterment of Greater Bretonia. This is the sentiment found amongst all high families throughout the province. End it swiftly. To delight in their suffering is not the way of civilized men. They have endured enough. Such a degenerated race can only earn pity. Only a threat can earn hatred. Fact is, many need the orcs to justify their own squalor. They are the feared and ever-present other, manifest. Were it not for them, introspection could sweep the land, and with that, doubt towards those who govern. So the orcs are routed to some black crevice or other, making up for their loss in short time, only to exact a terrible vengeance some years later. The orc cannot be stayed nor contented. It seeks blood wherever blades fail to stop them. History proves that only merciless persecution of your enemy makes peace. Ha! Men are born for games, nothing else. Every child knows that play is nobler than work. He knows too that the worth or merit of a game is not inherent in the game itself, but rather in the value of that which is put at hazard. Games of chance require a wager to have meaning at all. Games of sport involve the skill and strength of the opponents, and the humiliation of defeat and the pride of victory are in themselves sufficient stake, because they inhere in the worth of the principles and define them. This slaughter is the testing of one's will, and the will of another within that larger will, which because it binds them is therefore forced to select. War is the ultimate game, because war is, at last, a forcing of the unity of existence. War is God. The many forego this line so to make themselves equal to their superiors. The weak play with morality as a deer shrieks at the wolf. Nonsense for survival, nothing more. The people need a figure of hope, a paragon where all the other leaders had failed, a great privilege to be of the few progenitors of good in the Reach. Unfortunately, I am to depart here soon, so anything you need to say, make it brief. 3/4 of today's schedule still awaits. A grave tone to those words, not something to be taken in its stride, I assume. Yet I have important men waiting for me in the west, so we must speak later. The people need a figure of hope, a paragon where all the other leaders had failed, a great privilege to be of the few progenitors of good. Unfortunately, I am to depart here soon, so anything you need to say, make it brief. I've enough dogged worship from the people, though having labored it. Now then, I must leave. Take care. Unfortunately, I am to depart here soon. A grave tone to those words. Yet I have important men waiting for me in the west, so we must speak later.
Knight, forgive the interruption, but I need your attention within the temple. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Godspeed, Knight. Careful! Doing well, Knight? Knight, forgive the interruption, but I need your attention within the temple. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Good fortunes. Doing well, Knight? In fear of tooting my own, every lord and king has his own priest, normally overseen by the priest's circle, a council of priests, with restoration taking center stage in our studies, as many royals fear their kingdom, as has happened with a number of kingdoms when as apparent as the danger may appear, seems those souls are still trapped. Even the scholars from Daggerfall were awestruck. If it was so easy, whatever solution that could alleviate this, talking like a true native, suffice to say, nothing was achieved except dozens. You most likely came across remnant. Even the marble still shines, not having. How bizarre. The Iliad embassy built by those Durrani, or you've heard of the Elysian Empire, surely? And their revolt. Then I needn't bore you with yet another. Desperate and engulfed in panic, the Durrani pulled whoever they could. A very desperate alliance, to speak the truth. When the first Elysian stepped into his periphery, the nightmare, and so did many of the Elysians. Though who even in the face of ultimate terror, had traversed the dark, losing many through hideous traps, terrific rituals, and the sadistic alien support. That's what the tomes show, though such a being that was surely. When they did breach the inner sanctum, scholars had taught the king and his debauched alien underlings were seemingly Upon realizing that his artistry was meddled with, he recoiled. Then came the cacophony of screams, killing those further back immediately after. When it proved futile that mere men went up to the task, Alesia had called upon a friend. All evidence and descriptions of this person pointed to one candidate, Polinial. Those scribes of the time spoke of him entering the sanctum and having the gate sealed behind. What followed was a cosmic clash of noise and people had fled, tension gripped, so the filthy king of spite was no more, and the Elysians continued their march. Not often did the clouds part, and we have a simple tale which can be spun. Though looking at you, such light-hearted tales would quickly grow to bore. Godspeed, Knight. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple.
Huh? What back door did you enter through? Must be a master of stealth as well as battle. As for what we're talking about, just making plans for transferring the garrisons over to the Bretons. Disorder in Skyrim calls, and the Empire beckons us to be their vanguard. What else can we do here? It seems most are dead set in digging a deeper hole for themselves despite our best efforts. I know this is disheartening, but I have faith that the Reach, without Mortarfane, may fare a great deal better. That is, if someone less tyrannical is appointed by Sigmane, instead of some doppelganger to the most recent lord, which has been a common theme in this land. In fact, I've heard Sigmane's son, Damien, may just be the lord that breaks the cycle. We can only hope. Such a merciful and boisterous leader may bring those sad sods out of their depressive stupor. Word is he's soon to give a speech to the people in Ravenspring. You may want to go over there and see what he has to say. You never know. You could drop a word of advice to the prince that may forge a better future in this realm. Nothing noteworthy. Petty disputes and all the entailing drama. I'm sure you're well versed in the Reach's people, so I won't need to divulge too much. Actually, come to think of it, events seem to be not as dour. Like the kingdom is finally experiencing its boon. I don't want to get my hopes up, but it really does seem different this time. Alas, we won't be here to relish in what may be, as we've already set course for Skyrim. Again, nothing eventful. Would have told you otherwise. Yet, if you want something to chew on, we've had word from the kingdom of some of their serfs wandering north, though not enough to cause a serious outcry. Looks like the absolute worst of the toiling masses are vanishing, which the nobility have been elated by. More for the treasury, and less mouths to feed. There aren't many civilized spots north of the kingdom, and I'm damn sure an unarmed peasant isn't going to make it 10 yards approaching those witchmen. So we haven't sent anyone up there to find out. Just not worth the hassle, and we're already spent as a garrison. We should have been thrice our number, but the Reach has weathered us down to a trifling band of injured and mad. We should, but my business has ceased here. We'll need to direct those concerns to the Bretons, as you know. The serfs should be their immediate concern. Imagine a kingdom without their serfs. Evermore especially would collapse in an instant. If you hear any of the downtrodden rambling the same as those witchmen, then that will be a major cause for concern. Until then, however, enjoy these somewhat peaceful days we've been graced with. That would be a man named Visa. He has a residence within the capital itself. He's not one to hear out every petty request, so make sure any appointment you have with him is of utmost urgency. Go with grace.
even that storm of death summoned by those of black hearts could sunder your resolve. So it is tragedy, nay, insult, that you boldest of Bretons, man and woman alike, have suffered under debauched tyrants. Lords, who sought their wanton destruction of yours. Is it not time for someone to break this most pernicious pattern? That the promise of dawn should show harvest in day.
Best keep those lips sealed, lest you want to part with that tongue of yours right here. That's it. I was planning on visiting you later, but I'll be taking your head now. Come here, Skeleton.
You needn't rush to my defense, for the only threat here is truth. Many are reticent, fearful to speak out against those above. To have endured a lord's madness, a king's decadence, and not rage against the gods who ordained their rule? Servility, befitting dogs, not men.
Your prince has shown mercy, sir. Best show your appreciation.
Reflect, if you will, this land and its history, how the past bleeds seamlessly into the present, where the wounds of times past yonder still gape as to drown the realm in a red haze of madness. That past is an anchor, staying our destinies, and only with the collective might of the Reach can we smash the chain. Like a yearning child yet conceived, trapped within the crushing womb, must erupt from its shell by any means. Cast your traumas, kill your fear. Hope shall take their stead. Every man and woman here has but one imperative: to prevail against the world itself. It is only through triumph that we overcome our shared antipathy for life and its injustices. Behold the advent of new enterprise. We are undergoing a total restoration of Evermore. Laborers of every craft work tirelessly to further our dominion. The further our presence, the nearer our enemies' defeat. Soon there will be no hole for their dark ilk to fester. And through all the blood, sweat, and toil, the Reach, not for the savage, nor the stranger, but for you, Reachmen. To make our mutual want for peace and power tangible is our right. To triumph over trepidation and sail our fate through the maelstrom of destiny. This ultimate agenda was yesterday a dream, a tale to cope. Now our ideals are no longer distant. When the Reachmen hone their desires into one shared purpose, even mountains will quake. Will to power, no longer to endure, to suffer. We will prosper. They thought you sheep, preying on you at your weakest. Now you have heart. Now you have willpower. Now it is you who are strong. You will be feared. Hail Evermore!
Knight, forgive the interruption, but I need your... Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Knight, forgive the interruption, but I need your attention within the temple.
Speak out.
Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please.
Greetings, Knight. The people need a figure of hope, a paragon, where all the other leaders had failed. A great privilege to be of the few progenitors of good in the Reach. Unfortunately, I am to depart here soon, so anything you need to say, make it brief. 3/4 of today's schedule still awaits. I've enough dogged worship from the people. Now then, I must leave. Take care.
Good fortune.
Farewell, friend.
Good day. Godspeed, knight. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Doing well, knight?
Something you need?
Doing well, knight? We meet again. How fare you?
Something
Knight,
you need?
forgive the Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. We meet again. How fare you? Knight, forgive the... Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Doing well, knight? Come for aid? Doing well, knight? Good day. We meet again. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. We meet again. How fare you? Come for aid? Blessings for your future journeys. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Good day. Godspeed, Knight. Knight, forgive the interrupt. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. We meet again. How fare you? Doing well, Knight? Farewell. Knight, forgive the interruption. Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple.
Speak up. You have my ear. The people. Unfortunately, I am to depart his. A grave. Yet I have important men waiting for me in the west. The people. Unfortunately, I am to depart. Yet I have important men waiting for me in the west, so we must speak later.
Knight, forgive the interruption, but I need... Trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple. Knight, trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple.
Speak up. The people. Unfortunately, I am to... Now then, I must leave.
Blessings for your
Take
future
care.
journeys.
Until next time.
Doing well, Knight? Godspeed, Knight. Knight, trust me, you will thank me for being so impatient. Please, within the temple.
Let me hear you scream.
So, a mass of black eyes sets a trap, and you eagerly run right into it without delay. Really, you should hold yourself to a higher standard. I could give you the accounts of my dynasty to every accomplishment in my somewhat brief life, but it wouldn't bring you any closer to knowing who we were. But know this, your brethren above founded their civilizations on the ruins of ours. I see that the current nomenclature hasn't changed much. Now, onto your little errand. It called you with the promise of riches, correct? I'm sure you've taken your fill from these halls already. But you sense a far grander reward. Something that material riches cannot satisfy, with only the gods having the power to grant. Well, I hate to be the messenger, but that promise will not bear fruit. A truth we were too slow to realize ourselves. Deception is all that thing knows. Him? Ah, just a word to bespeak the society above. Poor patriarchal thing. At the end of this hall is the key to unsealing the passage between this world and theirs. A machine fashioned from the technologies of the Far East. I wonder if they still linger, or if that volcano took them all. Another mystery. To put an end to its prying gaze, every once in a while it will send eyes to scour these halls in search of our most guarded secrets. And, I believe, to free itself onto your world permanently. But with my intellect and your, brawn, that won't happen. And you're the courier? We are blessed with intelligence so that binary choices can become many. You may bark fallacy at what I propose, but hear me out. We bring that entity a soul in my image, even with my scent. Aha! But it will not be mine. Simple but genius, right? And there's the bark. Do you think I told you to light these fires for my amusement? They blaze for the liminal barrier that surrounds us. This barrier shields and shrouds us to that being's eyes. What is discussed here is for our ears only. Now, it's only assurance of your loyalty is a word. As you see, most of these gods proclaim great power and omniscience. But what they lack is empathy. They cannot grasp the depths us mortals would delve to maintain a life. I must also tell you, whether it's of any concern, that he is not after my soul for its own sake. He lusts for a secret that can only be gleaned with the mind of my kind. And give it all the power. What's to be gained from that? Knowledge has value. Value that can be traded for spoils beyond your fickle thoughts. This being, Ven, is it, has been hounding for our secrets for a good millennia or more. The sheer patience of that thing. Maybe time really is of no consequence to a god. A black soul gem, indistinguishable from any other, with only an arcane aura the indicator of my soul. It'll be none the wiser, a glutton as it is, only desiring the next meal without a care for the taste.
Those Red Guard vultures are finally gone. That's one less burden we have to deal with.
You were with the Imperials at the outpost, right? Killed all those damn orcs off? I hope you made them suffer.
You've returned. One would have thought you'd have left the Reach for good with all the riches you've earned. Been a good 2 weeks since I sent you off. Nothing substantial since the murders. Omid demanded retribution and brought dubious evidence indicting a whole slew of beggars and clients. Though giving them all a look over, I just didn't think any had it in them to divulge in such savagery. Sure, the beggars may be high off their minds from scum. We have seen them brutalize each other with little respite. Yet to escape and lead us on this wild goose chase? If a beggar was smart, they wouldn't be begging now, would they? Back on point, have you discovered anything for yourself? That is indeed a story. I really wish you'd stopped at the doors of that cursed sanctum and vented your suspicions elsewhere. That facility is an augur upon the kingdom. A taint I wish we could forget. And this demon you speak of, meeting him in a Daedric realm, you say? Not to doubt your sanity, as I'm sure of your lucidity. But were you not unconscious by chance? Such experiences don't seem congruent. Well, regaling our past conversations, I can't call you mad with good conscience. And from what happened in Ravenspring, I feel inclined to believe you. Well, if you're confident in following up on your suspicions, then feel free. Just make sure to tell me if there's any nobility involved. I don't want to be causing a ruckus now. A hole to dump all the kingdom's undesirables, when we weren't exiling them first. The transaction of souls between the settlements and that haunted facility grew so prevalent that it became its own lucrative business. Many lords and elders forgoing exile completely, instead sending their dissidents off to be studied on. Deducing criminal traits and why otherwise civilized men engaged in barbarism. A fine pretense. They first pulled their subjects from the Witchmen. Not much came out of their minds. Probably found the cultural differences too great. And by culture, I mean sanity. Then they directed their attention on those with a slice more clarity to their thoughts, which they harvested a great litany of research from. Yet that was the facade. I went there myself. And let me tell you, that was a far cry from what actually happened. It does indeed. Apparatus in every room, looked to rend men and fill them with toxic fluids. Should have been outlawed by any society. And the smell, God, it smelled like the deepest crevice of the most pungent swamp. Deafening screams like a pin in the air, bellowing from the lower depths of the dungeons. And this was from the levels of the facility I was permitted to see. I guessed. Every sense was assailed within there, but there was a much deeper tinge of malaise that unnerved me. It was almost as if my soul had bottomed out through my body. So the rumors of them researching these strange entities were true. If that's the case, then forgive me for any doubt I expressed earlier. We should have never allowed that place to function. You can thank Sigmane's father for that. I digress. I don't want to make our tension any worse with the potential of treason.
Whoa, now, don't go making those types of accusations so soon. What was he wearing? What did he say? This is grave news. To know the Thalmor were implicated in the making of this extremist group. But directly giving them munitions and directives on where to attack and how. God, we don't want this news becoming public. We can't have what happened in Skyrim and its civil war happen in High Rock. There's enough animosity towards the Empire's lack of action here. You must promise me not to tell anyone else of who you saw there. And pray tell, is the agent still alive? You fool, that is not what I asked you to do. I explicitly stated that you should only observe the interaction and not intervene. But you're not to blame. The orcs have keen senses and probably sniffed you out before you even laid eyes on them. I'll have to take this matter to Horrister and decide whether we should inform the king. Although that may not bode well for the realm. Keep silent about this ordeal, or your words can spell a reckoning for High Rock. Hopefully some septums will make you commit to that silence. Forgive my earlier outburst, though. You have helped in my case, and I am grateful for it. Keep safe.